Caitlin Clark's story in 2025 unfolded like a year-long storm, the kind that sweeps in quietly before anyone realizes how much damage is coming. It began with a sense of promise, the kind of anticipation only a once-in-a-generation player can generate. Fans expected new milestones, new highlights, new nights where she would bend the league to her will the way she once did in front of sold-out college arenas. But the year had different plans. It didn't break her in one moment. It pulled at her piece by piece, injury by injury, until the season she was meant to dominate became the season she had to survive. What made the downfall so shocking was how strong the beginning looked. On May 17th, Clark delivered exactly what the Fever had hoped for when they drafted her. A triple-double filled with the smooth shot-making and floor vision that defined her early rise. She looked free, fast, and fully in control, the kind of star who could elevate a franchise from the ground up. But just 7 days later, everything changed. A left quad sprain on May 24th marked her first ever missed game in years of college and professional basketball. For someone who had never sat out, who had shown up every night regardless of pressure or pain, watching games from the sidelines felt foreign. It was the first sign that her body was absorbing more than the typical wear of a long season. Her return on June 14th felt like the comeback moment fans had waited for. She erupted for 32 points against the undefeated Liberty, launching threes with the effortless confidence that once made entire arenas gasp. She introduced the world to her custom Nike shoes honoring Bella, her beloved golden retriever, whose picture rested inside the insole. She kissed her hand, touched the shoe, and played like someone carrying a memory close to her heart. At the time, no one realized how deeply that moment would resonate in the weeks to come. Her performance wasn't just dominant, it was emotional, symbolic, and powerful. It felt like the return of the superstar the league had crowned. But even triumphs sometimes hide the storms ahead. Less than 2 weeks later, on June 26th, a second injury struck, a left groin sprain that pushed her back out of the lineup. She missed the Commissioner's Cup championship, forced to watch from the bench as her teammates lifted the trophy. By early July, whispers of concern began circulating in ways no one wanted to acknowledge. Fans noticed her mobility wasn't the same. Analysts questioned whether she had been rushed back too fast. And the pain she carried began to look less temporary and more like a warning. Still, Clark pushed forward. She returned again on July 9th, refusing to surrender the season. But on July 15th, in the closing seconds of a win over Connecticut, the season came to a devastating halt. A right groin sprain, her third injury in less than 2 months, combined with a later discovered left ankle bone bruise, ended everything. Her fight shifted from winning games to healing a body that had absorbed too much too fast. On September 4th, she released the statement fans feared was coming. She had hoped to bring better news. She had hoped to finish the season. She had hoped to play. Instead, she announced she would not return. 31 games gone. Only 13 played. A season that began with unstoppable promise now belonged to the injury report. Even with limited games, fans voted her into the All-Star team as captain. Over 1 million votes poured in, proving that her connection with the public had not dimmed. But beneath the numbers, it was clear she had spent the season fighting not opponents, but her own body, struggling through shooting slumps and strain after strain while carrying expectations no rookie should ever have to shoulder. Then came the heartbreak no athlete prepares for. On November 29th, the weekend after Thanksgiving, Caitlin turned to Instagram to share something no injury report could capture. Bella, her 9-year-old golden retriever, had passed away. The simple caption and yellow hearts told the world more than any press release could. Bella wasn't just a pet. She was connection, comfort, loyalty. She had been there through Iowa's rise to national prominence, through empty COVID arenas, through the nights Clark played for cardboard cutouts instead of screaming fans. Bella was the constant. And suddenly she was gone. The photos Caitlin shared, Bella in autumn leaves, Bella as a puppy in her arms, gave a glimpse into a bond that shaped her far beyond the court. They revealed a young woman enduring loss on 2 fronts: her ability to play the game she loved and the companion who had stood beside her for nearly a decade. It became clear that 2025 had asked her to endure emotional weight far heavier than a box score could ever reveal. Off the court, the Indiana Fever faced their own uncertainty. Only 3 players remained under contract for 2026: Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and rookie Michaela Timpson. Kelsey Mitchell's free agency loomed large. Natasha Howard considered her future. Sophie Cunningham recovered from an MCL tear. Even the league itself stood at a crossroads with a new collective bargaining agreement expiring and whispers of regulation changes that could reshape salaries and rosters entirely. Expansion teams in Toronto and Portland meant veteran players would be lost to draft selections, leaving Indiana's rebuild even more complicated. Yet within the chaos, hope quietly persisted. The Fever had posted a franchise record 24 wins despite Clark's injuries. They claimed the Commissioner's Cup. They reached the semifinals. They found ways to fight through adversity, a trait Clark herself embodied long before her injuries began. Her dedication never wavered. Even while sidelined, she spent hours in the gym. Even when her season ended, she wrote not with anger, but disappointment, determination, and resolve. And even through grief, she found a way to honor Bella by wearing those gold and pink shoes before tragedy struck. The story of Caitlin Clark's 2025 isn't one of failure. It's one of survival, resilience, and emotional truth. It is a reminder that even the brightest stars endure seasons where nothing goes as planned. It is the story of a young woman learning that greatness isn't measured only in points or records or trophies. Sometimes, it is measured in how you keep going when everything else falls apart. And as the Fever move toward 2026, rebuilding, reimagining, and resetting their future, one thing remains unmistakably clear. Caitlin Clark may have lost time, lost games, and lost Bella, but she has not lost her fire. She is still the beating heart of Indiana, the face of a new generation, and the athlete millions believe will define the next era of basketball. What do you think Caitlin Clark's comeback will look like in 2026? Will a healthy season finally allow her to reclaim her dominance? And how will the Fever rebuild around her in Boston with so much uncertainty ahead? Share your thoughts below, subscribe for more deep dive stories, and make sure to like the video.